Ethiopia is one of the first country, not only in Africa, but in the world, who banned the import of gasoline and diesel vehicles in its capital city in Addis Ababa. Now, this import of the combustion of powered vehicles, which will force drivers now to switch to electric vehicles in a country which is only one public charging station on its territory. I mean, I doubt that, but I doubt that means there might be more, but is it enough? Not really. Now, here is the thing. As much as it is laudable and commendable for Ethiopia to switch to electric vehicle instead of fuel or diesel cars in the country, it's for private one. I mean, you have to keep that in mind as well, because it's costing the country more than 5.6 billions of dollars. And you all know in Africa how it is really hard for countries to get foreign currency. I mean, the amount of doors that they have to knock in this so-called international financial institutions like IMF, World Bank, or private creditors in Europe or America is robbing African countries. Now, as much as it's commendable, but it comes with its own challenges because electric vehicles, the world of the era of this energy using with electric as opposed to fuel or gas or whatever, does not come just like that with everything flowers. No, there are challenges. I mean, in the world, for example, globally, these are the challenges of electric vehicles and high purchase costs, limited charging infrastructure, the range of anxiety, slow charging speeds, and then the environmental impact of battery production, a limited model availability, consumer awareness and misconceptions, and then grid capacity and energy sources. These are the challenges globally. Now, take that and bring that into Africa, then these are most of the things. Of course, Africa shares these challenges as well, but also particularly in Africa, there is a problem of infrastructure deficiency. I mean, period. There is no enough infrastructure even for the things that we want to use right now, let alone, bringing a new technology. There's a primary hurdle for electric vehicle adoption in Africa is the need for more infrastructure. And also there's high initial costs of foreign currency, the sustainable energy sources, economic development, clean and fast transportation, policy and incentives. In countries like these superpowers, there's China and there's Europe, there's America, who are producing these cars, the Tesla of America, the BYD of China, the Volkswagen and Mercedes of Europe. All this, while producing electric vehicles, they have that subsidies or incentives that they are financed from their own government. I mean, in the pretext, they may put it, they're not helping it or not, but it doesn't matter. There are incentives that are granted in these countries when they produce these cars. And another thing is that the infrastructure is really well equipped, so we cannot compare that. When you come to Africa, and Ethiopia is part of Africa, so that is something, as much as it is really good when you think of sustainable energy, but bringing it where there is not so much awareness of it, and then there's a short of charging places and the electricity's availability of itself, where even sometimes power goes off just for normal use in households. I really don't know. So the other day, actually, I was talking with a friend and he raised this question. Okay, let's say I have an electric car in Africa, and then what if I drive it outside of the capital, and then, the capital is mostly where you get enough power, let's say. Even there, it can get a short, okay? But what happens when I drive it outside of the capital? Do we have enough enough places for maintenance, like garages, or whoever is fixing those, enough charging place. If the government is planning or embarking also in setting up those charging places, in creation of awareness, to clear that misconception and this and that, together with while it is embarking in making all replacing all fuel cars into EV cars, then that is really the best for any nation. Now, with Ethiopia, there is this person, I found it in fortune.com. It's I think before that it was chrome.com that publishes the article. So there's this guy, a private individual, who is sharing his challenges by having an EV car, but fuel is really expensive. Now, this guy says, look, he faces a range of issues, from the erratic supply of electricity in Addis Ababa, and then to the scarcity of spare parts. Now, these are the challenges for him. Now, quote, he says, charging my car has been a challenge. And then spare parts that are imported from China are expensive. Few mechanics are able to fix such cars, and the resale value of such car is poor. That is his challenge. Now, things like car or land or whatever, people want to have a resale value, because Ethiopia is, I think it should be, not it should be, it has to be one of the only country perhaps in the world, in most of African countries, I don't even think it works like that, where car gets every time appreciating its value, no depreciation. In other countries, once you drive your car out of the dealer house or what, from the company, the car starts to depreciate. But unfortunately, in Ethiopia, that's not the case. So this is why, if you are confused, this individual is saying the resale, what resale value you will get after driving. So that's why, that's what he is saying. So another thing that he mentioned is that the trouble or the challenge of the challenge of also having not enough, technicians or mechanical people in the country. Ethiopia is one of the first countries that banning private cars, which are diesel and gasoline cars. So the decision actually is pressure on authorities who spend scarce foreign currency to subsidize the cost of fuel, but it also reflected growing enthusiasm for electric vehicles as the world demands more green technologies to reduce climate change emissions. There are controversies with this climate change emissions, how when the world is now trying to put it to pressure Africa, in which Africa is not, actually there is only the minimum amount of those Africa is contributing to that emission. The most of it comes from the developed countries, where it doesn't mean, that does not really it doesn't mean I am authorizing, we should not go green, but the pressure put in on Africa with regards to that is also something unfair. So also the fuel price in Ethiopia year to year, it increases. Actually, the government is not really, to be fair, not making any profit from by selling fuel. It's a subsidized company, or I don't know, government enterprise we can call it, because it's not really making, if it wants to make profits, then the selling value have to be high, and most of the people will not be able to afford, and the government wants to cut. I will understand from which angle the government is coming in terms of green technology, also in terms of really cutting that $5.6 billion, where the country, the value of its currency is every time depreciating, and it's the economy is, it's good, but it's good in a sense that it's struggling and still making also good good results, but in a way that not everybody is beneficiary. But you see it sometimes in infrastructure or other things. You see that, but still, the country is struggling. And I understand that for the government, they need to be able to, because most of those letter of credits or importing things, it's a request of importing cars, and the government see it as a luxury item. The government prefers with that expensive foreign currency to import what is needed, like medicine and gas is also, it's essential, but really not to bringing it really to fuel cars, but for something else. Well, let us know in the comment section, what do you think of this electric vehicle controversy in Africa? But the best thing is, if I have to contribute my 2 cents, really to have that manufacturing company. I know that outside of Addis, I think it's in Bahardar, in Bahardar, it's outside of the capital, in Amhara region to be specific. The government has set up a company that assembles electric vehicles, which is really good. I don't know how far it is, but I have really read, I have come across that article. That is really commendable, and kudos to the government, because that will also save the foreign currency, and then people also will get a chance to buy not expensive cars, but something that they can afford, let's say. Thank you very much again for tuning in. I know it's a very controversial issue. Share your view from whichever African country you are. How do you see this? Even if you are outside of Africa, what's your view on this? That Africa turning to electric vehicles? Is it even possible to go completely to EV and replacing all these gasoline and diesel cars in the continent? Yeah, your views are, your comments, your suggestions, your questions, everything is valuable. So please share it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that so far. Like it and share the video with others. You may support us through our PayPal account. You can find it in the description section. It's a bye-bye for me for now, and I will see you on the next one.